Hi, I'm Mike with House on the Mend, and in this video we are going to transform this dark hallway with the HVAC system running through it from this to this, to this, complete with dimmable lights. So let's get started.
House on the Mend.
Well, we are in a nice 4-foot wide hallway that is standing in between what's going to be its own private bedroom, plumbed out for its own private bath, and this stairwell leading down from the house into the basement. It's got a really tight turn right here that's going to make it very difficult to get construction materials like sheet goods down here, but that's another story. This spot right here is our upcoming project. Now, when you start finishing a basement, traditionally you want to start doing the concrete walls, insulating those, framing those up, and then wiring. But if you see this picture here of our garage, it looks like something out of Hoarders. We've just moved in and we desperately need storage space. So our first project down in the basement is going to be addressing this area under the stairs. A lot of times people will just put like a coat closet right here, and then everything behind that actual rack is all storage. We want to do something a little different because I think that's tough to get to that storage. So right here at the very bottom of the stairs, the most useless space is going to be a dog house, just like you see here. We think that's really cute, great use of space, and Maverick, our puppy German Shepherd cross with an Australian Shepherd, loves to sleep here already. This next spot right here is what I'm most excited about. We're gonna have pull-out storage, as you can see in this picture here. Several shelves on full extension drawer slides. And then the remaining space right here will actually be the coat closet with a rod going across so we can store all our winter or summer clothing as it becomes a change in seasons. But before I can do all this, I need to know what the height of the sheet goods is that I'm going to enclose this area and detail it out. So therefore I figured it's probably best to do our ceiling right in here first. And it's going to present us with a really interesting challenge because we have these two channels of HVAC system going all the way down the hallway and encroaching in a slight amount into the family room. So what I'm going to do is frame across this 4-foot section, put some rigid foam insulation because I don't want to encroach too much on ceiling space. We're going to use resilient channel to quiet the area down and sheetrock on the resilient channel. So I was able to go to Home Depot and find studs that were not just 8-foot or 10-foot, but right in between at about 104 inches. And the cool thing about that is I was able to cut those in half and then with my table saw cut them in half again. So we've got 1 by stock, 4 boards made 16 of these pieces that will get us all the way down this hallway. And I'm going to bring those up here and they will give me a couple inches on either side to attach them to the existing studs. So right at the bottom of the stairs, there's these 2 switches, one for the actual stairwell, and then this one, as we enter the basement, turns on what's going to be a bedroom light. And then if you look way down here, it turns on these 2 lights, which is going to be the family room. So we're going to want to change that, make these their own switch, and obviously make the bedroom light its own switch. So I think what I'm going to do is rewire that switch to have several LEDs right in the center of this hallway. Now, if we bore sight right down this 2x4, just like that, you'll see it does not line up with the studs on the other side of the wall. So We're going to bridge across this HVAC system up here. We're going to have to get a little bit creative. Now the rest of the basement is 8 foot 9 inches tall to the joists, which is awesome. But as you can see right here where the HVAC system is in this hallway, it drops down to 8 foot 1 inch. So as we frame in these channels, I am going to insulate in between the studs rather than behind them with foam insulation, so at least we can get some noise dampening between the hallway and the running HVAC system. We are all set up to put our framing pieces across the hallway. By the way, if you are just wanting to frame around your HVAC duct, that is called a soffit, and there's lots of videos on YouTube about how to do that. We'll be doing some of that later on in the basement, but we are utilizing the existing framing in the basement for our project here. So I found that the area right above the header of this door is a perfect spot to rest this piece on and go across level. And if you see here, it's just the right amount of offset so that we don't get any vibration from the duct. And when we put on the resilient channel afterwards, that will further reduce any acoustic vibration. Now the green line you see coming all the way around is obviously coming out of our laser level. That is a Dovo laser level that I have previously reviewed. Right above it is the little link that you can click on to watch that full review. I'll also leave a Amazon affiliate link for it and the pole that it's on right now. It is a great laser. My favorite part about it is that it comes with a remote control where you can turn on and off vertical and the horizontal lines, which is just so convenient rather than having to climb back up a ladder and touch a little button that you can't even see up there. All right, I have eye protection on, hearing protection on, because we're going to be using a framing nailer that's quite loud. This is the Ryobi 21 degree framing nailer. It's very heavy, but it works great. It's going to be perfect for this home DIY project. Now, you remember when I said we would have to get creative with the framing? I am on this side, the far side of the cripple stud, and I'm on the closer side to you of this stud over here, and that's getting us pretty straight. I measured it with the tape measure. If we get off a little, it's not going to matter for the sheetrock because we're using resilient channel, but it will make cutting the rigid foam insulation a little bit more difficult. But that's what we have to work with in this scenario. So I went with these really shallow single gang boxes. I was worried about not having enough space with these small studs, but when you consider that we're dropping down for the resilient channel and then a little further for the sheetrock, I could have gotten deeper gang boxes, but these will work. And as you can see, I've got them centered on the studs all the way down. So tracing back the wiring to this light in the bedroom, it comes across, you can see it right there underneath the PEX tubing through the hallway over here. So I've cut that, it'll go right into the first box, and I'll take the remaining wire and bring it over here for a light switch. All right, I've got the wiring run through each of the boxes. Code says you need to have staples within 12 inches of the electrical box. So as you can see in this picture, I have one of the incoming and outgoing. It's going to make it a little bit tougher when you're cutting around the electrical boxes because you also have to cut for the wire going, but I feel more comfortable with having those staples right there. So now we are working on putting in the rigid foam insulation. And as you can see, this particular 1.5 inch piece made by Artec has foil on one side and then just regular plastic on the other. Now, as you can see in this screenshot, Artec says that the foil side should face the living area of the room that you are insulating. Now in this case, the HVAC ducts are actually going to be considered the quote-unquote living area for me, because I am not trying to heat nor cool this hallway nor this basement. It's going to stay a perpetual temperature, but we're just trying not to rob the cool air or the warm air out of the ducts. So I'm facing the foil up towards the ducts. All right, let's get this installed. I am measuring each one and cutting it with a razor knife so that they are a slip friction fit. That's why I still have glasses and gloves on. Because we get little balls falling in on us. Now I'm going to continue my way all the way down. One more thing I should cover, because you can see it in the video, I have also elected to put rock wool in all of the voids. So this area right here where this duct is running, but this one hasn't started yet, I insulated that. And I'm also insulating all of these voids here against this wall, because once I enclose this in, I won't be able to reach them. Well, I've been talking about it throughout this whole video. This is Resilient Channel, kind of a strange name for it, but basically this lowers the amount of acoustic vibration or noise that's coming through your ceiling or your walls. The way it works is it goes, instead of screwing the sheetrock to this entire bit of framing and transferring all that acoustic energy into the sheetrock, you are instead minimizing that transfer of energy to one screw on each of your studs. And then you screw into this part of the channel and it minimizes the vibration, i.e. the noise. So for ceilings where you have 16 inches on center, you want to have the channel spaced no more than 24 inches apart. So in a 4-foot area, I actually could have gotten away with 3 rows, but as you know, I put the light boxes in the dead center. So I went the safe way and did 4 rows, 16 inches on center. These ones here at the edges were pretty easy. I just came off about a 1/2 inch from the wall. And then as you can see here, for the 2 center rows, I ran a string line for each of those so that it'll be a lot easier for me when it comes time to put up the drywall and screw it into place. Speaking of drywall, that's our next step. So I'm going to go through here and fold up and put away the wiring on all the boxes. And then I've got a great tool to show you that's going to help me put up this sheetrock over my head by myself. This is my new drywall lift. I bought the cheapest one I could find on Amazon, and I'm going to do a full review on it, but I'll give you a quick overview of what it's got. It's got 3 feet here that are on casters. You can lock those casters. There's also a little kind of a push down brake down there at the bottom. The head has a lot of really nice features. You've got these arms here that extend out to support the outside edges of your drywall. And it can go from an 8-foot position like this to out to 10 or 12 feet. Then the head itself pivots so that you can get it right into the right spot, line everything up. Once you do, you can pivot this head up and it locks into place. These little arms here that hold the drywall can be rotated out of the way. And then you're going to feel like Captain Jack Sparrow, but you spin your captain's wheel and up goes the lift to hold the drywall in place. Pretty cool. Let's bring down another sheet and I'll show you how it works. stupid. First, let's mark for our resilient channel in the center. It's going to make it a lot easier to do it down here than it is up on a ladder. I only need a light one. Next, I'm going to load a sheet. Make sure you've got these little arms down right here to hold it. I'm going to drag it out a bit and bring it up. Now, while we're here with the board set up like an architect's table, I'm going to take the measurement of where the two boxes are that impact this board, and I'm going to mark and cut them out right here on the ground where it's nice and convenient. 62 3/4, 65 3/8. Now we're dead center at 24 inches, so 2 inches in either direction. We go from 26 down to 22. There we go. All right, let's start cranking it up and then we'll pivot it into place. There we go, nice and solid. All right, I've got my rigid cordless drywall screw gun. It has these cool strips of screws. I've put a few in and I really like how stable the lift is keeping the drywall in place. I'm even able, if I want to put a little bit of tension on it rather than to have to push it up in certain spots to make sure it's seated. It's really nice and helpful. Also, since this arm is right dead center, and I put my resilient channel off of dead center, it's not going to impede in my ability to go through and put the screws in. Don't freak out in the comments. The chalk line comes right off. So when the first coat of joint compound dries, as you can see here, it dries inward and tends to dimple. So I put on the first coat, let it start to dry, then I'll take a sponge and wipe the excess around so it's nice and smooth. And once this dries and dimples in, it's time to go back through and put on a second coat. Well, I think it's strange that the light switch that controls the lights around the corner in this hallway is here instead of there, and that there's no other switch. It's not a three-way. So instead of trying to rewire everything so we have another switch down at the end of the hallway in the basement, I'm going to use this great product by Lutron, which is a new switch that has a dimmer function on it, but it also has a remote. And the remote looks just like a normal paddle switch and can be installed on the wall down there, and it will wirelessly talk to this replacement switch. And without having to run any new wiring, we will now have a switch at the end of the hallway and then this one here. And if we want, we can add another remote so that the actual spot where the hallway begins around this door can have a switch as well. So fantastic product. I've used it before with a similar situation with the pendant light in our kitchen. First thing I'm going to do is turn off the power at the breaker. I no longer use the included twist-on wire connectors in any electrical components that I install. Instead, I really like these Hvac connectors. They have a little orange tabs on here that are spring-loaded clamps. So I'm going to preload those onto the wiring. And then I can go right in here And just like that, our wiring connections are done. Now normally I would wait to test everything before I put the cover plate back on, but we need to go in here and wire all of our LED lights next. So for protection, I'm just going to go ahead and cover it now. It's a simple step if there's an issue to come back and take the faceplate off. There we go, nice clean look. All right, round the corner, lights are next. All right, I've stripped off the outer insulation and I got the wires lined up pretty good. Let's get ourselves ready to put the LED light in. First thing I want to do is strip off some of the insulation. This one, since we are joining two together with the wiring coming from an LED light, this one has three ports. So I'm going to take the first white and clip it into place, the second white, clip it into place. Here's a quick tip when you're working with Wago connectors. Don't have the orange clamp sides facing you. Have those facing away so that you can see when your wiring is fully seated. So I purchased these Sunco LED lights. They are Faux Can Lights. So when they come up, they look like a can light, except they're LED. They're super lightweight, relatively inexpensive. I bought a pack of 48, I think. And each one comes with its pack of screws for going into the electrical box. Here's another great tip. Sometimes the screws provided with your lights or accessories are too big for the actual hole in the gang box, and they won't start easy. So if that's the case, just grab your drill with the Phillips head on it and really quickly bore out that hole. Then it's much easier to start your screws. Then with the final remaining port, we can put each of our corresponding wires from the LED light into our Wago connector. And then once you have the wires tucked in, it's easy to take this smoky little plastic piece off so you can line up the two screws and lock it into place. All right, moment of truth. Yes, fully dimmable. Pairing the remote couldn't be simpler. You simply hold the off button on the actual wired switch until all the lights turn colors over here, right there. Then press and hold the off button on the remote. And there we go. Now, the remote works the lights. So now, at the end of the hallway, we'll be able to install this little guy. It's got an adhesive back. You just plop it right onto a little faceplate. It doesn't even require a gang box. It's a special little plate they make, and it'll be permanently mounted right there to control the lights when you leave the hallway. And there we go. What a great project. And in reality, all that work was really just a precursor to get ready for this storage space underneath the stairwell. So if you found this video helpful, will you please give it a thumbs up? It really helps the YouTube algorithm to start suggesting it to more viewers like you in their feed. And it's free. All you need to do is log in under your username and just hit the thumbs up button. Also, please consider subscribing. I'm working really hard to put out good quality content as well as tool reviews. We've got a lot more of those to go as we work on this basement and the outside of the house, the backyard in particular, which is completely unfinished. Now I'm going to leave links for everything I used in this video. Full disclosure, those will be Amazon affiliate links. So if you click on them and end up making a purchase, it won't cost you a thing, but I do get a small reward at the end of the month. It helps to justify all the time it takes researching and purchasing these little tools and items that help for these projects, as well as the time setting up all these camera angles and the lighting. So until next time, thank you for watching.